La ilaha illallah.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah, we seek His aid, His forgiveness, we seek refuge in Allah from the evils of our own selves and from the harm of our own wrongdoing. Whomsoever Allah guides, no one can lead astray. Whomsoever He leaves to stray, no one can guide. And I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, who is one without any partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. O believers, fear Allah as He should be feared and do not die, except as a Muslim. And so we always like to remind and be reminded the importance of having the taqwa of Allah. As you all know, we all know, we should know, that this is the greatest thing that one can have, because again, having taqwa of Allah, it defines one's relationship with Allah. Right? So if you have no taqwa, you're not conscious of Allah, you have no fear of Allah, which boils down to being obedient to Him and obeying His commandments and staying away from His prohibitions. Is what taqwa is, basically. To protect yourself from hellfire and protect yourself from its angels. This, again, all this what taqwa is. And so again, if you don't have that, what kind of relationship are you going to have when you think about it? And this is why Allah says also, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, that the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah is the one that has taqwa. So it's not your colors, it's not your shapes, it's not your money, your hairstyles and all of that, whether you white, whether you black, no. It's your taqwa, your relationship with Allah, your consciousness of Allah, your obedience to Allah, your being dutiful to Him, your being mindful of Him, and being careful how you carry yourself, with respect, to His commandments and staying away from His prohibitions. And so, alhamdulillah, we always, again, like to be reminded of this. We should be reminded of this all the time, because that's what's going to make the difference on the day of the Qiyamah. Bottom line. Who fears Allah the most? Right? And this is the one that's closest to Allah, and this is the one that Allah loves the most. And of course, the Prophet Muhammad has more fear of Allah than any of us. But we follow his example because he showed us in his own practice how to nurture and how to develop this relationship with Allah. Okay? As Allah said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. You have indeed in the messenger of Allah, a beautiful model to follow. For anyone whose hope is in Allah in the last day. And so, alhamdulillah, may Allah give us, again, this taqwa, alhamdulillah, and bring us close to Him. Allah says, oh, Allah Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist. Oh, you who believe, stand up, be outspoken for justice. Kunu qawwamina. Kunu qawwamina. Stand up, be outspoken, be foremost in representing justice and come to the aid of those who need justice, or those who come to the aid of those who have been treated unjustly. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best example of standing up for justice and just causes. And that's when people would come to him, you know, when there was problems and issues, he was always quick to make sure that they got justice. And whenever he saw injustice in the life of people, he would always intervene, you know, to straighten things out and make sure, alhamdulillah, people were treated fairly and people were not oppressed. You know, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that in one hadith al-Qudsi, meaning a hadith straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though it's not in the Quran, but Allah says this, but it's not in the Quran. Allah told the Prophet directly to tell the people, oh my servants, I have forbidden injustice or oppression for myself. And I have forbidden you to be unjust and to be oppressive. So therefore, do not oppress or be unjust to one another. Okay? So in this statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, again, Allah makes it binding on himself. See? He can do that. See? He makes it binding on himself. He makes it far. He makes it an obligation upon himself not to oppress, not to be unjust. So Allah is never unjust. No matter what we see happen, whatever goes down in life, the things that happen, Allah is always just. We never think for one moment or 1 second that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unjust. Okay? Or just. Okay? And so he has forbidden it for himself to be unjust. And so he has forbidden us to be unjust. Okay? He's commanded that upon us. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you see evil, you should change it with your hand, if you can, to stop the evil. And if you cannot change it with your hand, then you speak out against it. And if you can't do that, at least feel bad about it in your heart. I wish I could do something. I feel bad. So in the light of this, alhamdulillah, standing up for justice and speaking out against evil, and alhamdulillah, you know, again, you know, the hottest issue that's going on today, or one of the hottest issues, of course, is the issue of the police brutality and the racial injustices, you know, that's going on in the society. And with the recent, you know, murder of the young man, George Lloyd, and others, you know, Breonna Taylor. I'm sure you heard about her too, right? You know, the young lady in Kentucky, and Taylor, Ahmed Arbery, the young man in Georgia who was out jogging, and 2 white men, you know, just shot him down. Breonna Taylor, she was gunned down by the police also, a black lady, okay? And then, of course, you know, the recent victim was, again, George Lloyd, okay? And so these are just 3 of the most recent, you know, killings, unjust killings, of course, unjust, you know, unarmed people, all right, number 1, you know, police brutality, all right, and they were black, you know, racism. Okay, so these are hot issues. And of course, the last one, you know, it had a tremendous impact in the whole world. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody saw it. It was so clear. It was so graphic and so plain. And you watched it, you said, wow, it's terrible. So everybody's talking about it. And we should talk about it. You know, we should feel bad. Because life, to take an innocent life, is so serious. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, teaches us in the Quran, you know, our teachings is that to take the life of a human being without, you know, being based on something, justice, meaning, you know, you take the life of a person, you know, if he has not killed anyone, you know what I'm saying? You know, no. One does not deserve that. You see. So when one takes the life of a person, an innocent person, Allah Ta'ala said it is like taking the life of the whole humanity. The point being that the life of a human being is precious, and no one has the right to take that life. Unless it be for some just reason. You know, if you're fighting in a war, or someone kills somebody, and then they bring him to the court, and he gets convicted, so forth and so on. You know, that's what we mean. Okay? Outside of that, you ain't got nothing to kill anybody. You see? So this is what's happening, and these are unjust, these are things that are, again, affects the soul, right? But they're serious. And of course, we know, I was reflecting from the very beginning when I saw that tape, you know, and those four people that participated, all right, and everybody was talking about the guy that had his knee on the neck of the brother on the ground, all right, and the other two guys were holding them down. They really couldn't see them, but of course they were involved. And the other guy was kind of like standing around like he was keeping watch. He was looking, or some say he was trying to keep the crowd. But the bottom line, all of them, when I first saw, I said to myself, all of them are guilty. All of them are guilty. And of course, initially, you know, they only looked at the one that had his knee on the neck of George Lloyd. So they arrested him. All right? Arrested him and charged him with third-degree murder. All right? And so I looked at that and said, man, when are they going to get these other guys? Then the next couple of days, you know, the people would say, they start demanding. I said, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And the anger, it got even more intense each day. Because I said they were accessories. I saw right then. Not that I'm so special. I'm just, wait a minute, man. But when I saw it, I thought of this hadith, right? In Sahih Bukhari. I had to find it. I'm going to find it. Okay. You know, it says in Sahih Bukhari, Umar ibn Khattab. It's in the Bukhari. Umar ibn Khattab, when he was a Khalifa, and he found that a boy, a young man, was killed in Yemen. So he heard about this murder, and he heard that a whole bunch of people was involved in this killing. And he declared publicly, he said, if the whole town participated in the murder of this boy, I will execute all of them. Whew. So I remember that hadith. When I saw this, I said, I got to find this out, which I did. And it's something I did. I read it in a book, but I had to but the reference was Sahih Bukhari, so I looked it up, alhamdulillah. You see? So that was on my mind. But again, and of course, Umar, again, was stressing, the point he was making, justice. That's justice. See what I'm saying? That's justice. All of them have to be indicted. You see what I'm saying? And number one. And number two, this is a human life. Human life is sacred. You can't do that. You see? So this is Islam. You see? And so, alhamdulillah, the Attorney General, they finally got the charges together after they looked at everything and they made their case. So be as it may, again, Muslims have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to stand up and speak out, okay? I received an email this morning from the West Coast. From the West Coast. It was Washington State. A group of black youth. Wow. All right? Petitioning the leadership of this big mosque. And I know the mosque, but I'm not going to put the name out there. I know them. It's a huge mosque. Wealthy people. Because I've been there doing fundraising for this year. So I know this mosque. I know the imam there. You know what I'm saying? But I know the imam really ain't got he one of them, Katibi imams. He ain't really no leader. There's a board that, So the young men, young African Americans who go there, it was asking the imam, look, everybody's weighing in on this issue of racism, this issue of, the unjust killing, of black people. The whole country is on fire. You know, all the different organizations and sajids and leaders around the country, even the president of Turkey, amazing, weighed in. The president of Turkey, early guy, he sent his condolences and he sent his statement, being outraged over the situation. He had something to say, you see. So open the door. So alhamdulillah, but the leadership of this big masjid would not make a statement. And the young people, they felt affronted by that. Because they're not, you don't care. You know, so they looked at it as being, it ain't no issue. You see? So they made a petition. You know, they made a petition and making, sending it out to everybody and putting pressure, And so I'm not sharing this with you because I thought it was significant. It's very significant, We have a responsibility. They're right. Why you ain't saying nothing about this issue? Everybody can weigh in on this thing. Everybody can have something to say. And that's why when it first took place, alhamdulillah, I said what I said at the end, the last khutbah and whatnot. Then, of course, the Majlis al-Shura, the Islamic Leadership Council, which I'm a part of, we made a collective statement from day one. We have to weigh in on these things, right? It's our responsibility. We see injustices, see? And so, alhamdulillah, the Majlis al-Shura, as I said, has weighed in, okay? All right? Majlis al-Shura, Islamic Leadership Council of New York, alhamdulillah, they've been meeting, they've been discussing the issue and trying to see what they can do. It's amazing. Allah does things for a reason. Everything has its own time. There's the wisdom in everything, okay? And so the leadership all over the country, literally, our immigrant brothers, our brothers from abroad, right? From the Middle East, from Asia, from Europe, Everybody. What can we do? What can we do? They see the injustice. They see the injustice. You see? Not just the injustice, of this particular murder, that just highlighted it. You see what I'm saying? But the injustice that's going on against us. You woke them up. Wow. They see it now. 74% of white folks, they got it. 74% white folks in this country. Something has went wrong with our police system. Something has went wrong, and we need to fix it. Before they was in denial. In prior incidents where people were African American people being killed. Innocent people being killed. Don't lock the door, keep the door. So it's something for us to reflect upon. So now, again, people have been calling, asking myself and other imams, African Americans, come out and talk to us. Rightfully so. And I've always wanted to do this. I always felt the need for us to go to our immigrant brothers, and I'm saying this publicly, to share with them our history. Our history. Because they don't know. And it's important that we tell them, okay? Those of us who can, those of us who know, and whatnot. We have to teach them. So when we met in Majlis al-Shura last night, in the conference call, it was over 40 imams there. And they stepped back and said, Imam, y'all tell us what to do. Wow, we've been saying that. Brothers been feeling that for decades. You people come here, you don't know. You think you know. We know this beast. This ain't nothing new. The slaughtering of our people ain't nothing new. We've been going through it. When you look at the neighborhood, you look at the condition of the African American people here and the people of color, you look at the condition. It's racism. It's systemic and institutional racism that got us in condition. But y'all thought it was something else. You got caught up in the books you might have read back home, or when you got here, you went to their schools. And the only books you were exposed to is their books, the status quo, his story. So whatever they told you about us and how we were and how we are as a people, you went for that. And so therefore, those of us who became Muslim even, you know what, now even still, you had this stereotype, not knowing what our history is. The downside, the bad side, right? And the good side, and the achievements that we made. You see what I'm saying? And so this is a wake-up call, brothers. You know, this is a wake-up call for everybody. But now they want to hear rightfully so. And as I mentioned last week, you know, in one of the talks I gave last week about what we went through during slavery. The things that we went through as a people. People don't know, but they ain't telling you everything. They're not telling you everything in the history books. Some things they don't say. I was reading the other day, well, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X, right? You know, he has one of the best books on history, on our history, right? And so every now and then I go back and to review it. And so Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz said there were 3 kinds of people that dealt with us in slavery. And I'm just going to give you this example. I'm going to sit down. He said, there was the slave trader, there was the slave master, and there was the slave maker. In the books of Europe, in the books of America, they tell you about the slave master and the slave trader, but they don't tell you about the slave maker. He said the slave maker said, when they would bring us from Africa, okay, you know, they would take us, before they bring us here, they'd take us to the Caribbean islands. And they sift through us. The warriors, the kings, the dignitaries, people who had status back then. You know, those who would not accept slavery. So they would take them there. You see? And they would break them in. They break them in. And he gave us and he mentioned it. He gave the analogy of how they break you in. How you break a wild horse in. Take a special kind of dude to break a wild. The guy that rides the horse after he broke it ain't the same as the guy that breaks it in. You have to break them in. After you break them in, then now anybody can ride it now. You see? So the guy that was the slave maker, he had to be a cruel dude. He had to be cruel. So they didn't put him in the history books. So Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Rahimullah, he went on to describe, he gave a few examples of how they broke the slave, how they broke the warrior. You know, they would string him up before trees. The trees that bend, like they would tie his hands and his legs and his feet to all those trees, right? And bend them back with a rope, and then they cut the rope, and he would break up, he would be ripped apart in 4 pieces. Rip his arms and his legs out of the sockets. See? And they would have his wife there with the baby, pregnant, watching them. And Malcolm would say, this is to put fear in the baby before it's born. That's how they would break us in. And how sometimes they would take a lady and tie her by her toes on the tree. So we used to see people tied up, you know, by the neck. They would hang by her toes, upside down. The pregnant mother. And they cut her stomach open. And the baby would fall out on the ground. And they would crush it in the dust while all the other slaves were watching it. To put fear. But they didn't want to bring nobody to these shores here that were rebellious. But quite a few of us slipped through the cracks, though. You know, like Nat Turner and Denmark, BC. And, you know, we can go on and on, right? A lot of them, you know. Okay? That's another history, another lecture or talk, all right? I'm just giving an example. And that shows you, that's just a small portion, brothers and sisters, what they did to us. So people don't know. People don't know. And the Jews, they talk about the Holocaust, right? And how they were treated, right? And they have a right to, yes, in your face with the history. In your face. what the Germans did to us and put us in your face. They want the whole world to never forget. I don't blame them. That was a horrible thing. And they call it the Holocaust. You see? And so likewise, we have to teach our brothers, our immigrant brothers, our history, those who know it, but they don't know. And many of you don't know. Many of you young people, you don't know. And you need to learn. Because sometimes you don't even realize, how you act. How you act and how you carry yourself, how you behave a lot of times, based upon what you look at as being culture. The culture, right, of the hood, or the culture of is directly connected, man, with slavery. You know what I mean? Oh, you don't know you ignorant. You don't try. So El Hajj Shabbat, he was trying to educate the people, man, and wake us up who we are. See? So these things we need to reflect upon again, all right? And so I don't want to turn this thing into a lecture, but it's on my mind. I said I got to, alhamdulillah, because it's important, and hopefully, inshallah, you will be stimulated, alhamdulillah, to continue on. And again, immigrant community, and we love them. Our brothers, alhamdulillah, they don't know, so we have to teach them. So now they're calling us to come get lectures online, whatever the case may be. We want to know. We want to hear from y'all. Tell us what's going on. Yes, we have to do that. We have to let them know. Alhamdulillah, you see. And they're willing to give us the platform, so forth and so on. And so that's what's happening. So inshallah, I want the brothers and sisters to be mindful of that. The Majlis Ashura, alhamdulillah, is in the forefront of pushing this effort. And one of the things we discussed last night is what can we do? And I said the first thing we can do in our community, meaning indigenous as well as the immigrant and whatnot. We need to visit those Islamic centers and have workshops and sessions we can share. Teach them. And there's a whole lot of stuff, man. We don't even know. So may Allah but again, our job as Muslims, we have to stand up for these causes, the things that we see going on. We got to, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility. We can't sit silently about all the things that are going on, because all of these things impact us. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala khairil mursalin Muhammadin nabiyyi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Concerning the issue of institutional or systemic racism. So you know what racism is. The prejudice of white thinking they better than the blacks, or whatever the case may be. Simply put. Okay? Or believe that your race is better than another race. And the Prophet ﷺ said, hey, no Arab is better than non-Arab, no non-Arab better than an Arab. And no black is better than white, no white better than black. All of you are from the sons of Adam, and Adam created dust. And the most honorable in the sight of Allah is the one who has taqwa. So Islam condemns racism. They have a racist attitude because of arrogance. Who you? You're a grown-up black. You're a grown-up black sperm. You're a grown-up white sperm. That's what you was initially. Allah allowed you to survive the journey. We know the journey of conception, right? That journey. The egg and the fluids of the mother and the father. The millions of those sperms, those eggs, Allah let you survive. And you're going to be arrogant? Because of your color? Allah is in control of all of that. So no one is better than the other based upon that. One is superior based upon, in the sight of Allah, based upon your relationship with Him. What we mentioned earlier, taqwa, the fear of Allah. Whether you Chinese, or whether you Pakistani, whether you Arab, whether you black, whether you white. When people walk around like that. And white folks, they have a disease in that. Yeah? And this is why they call it, what's going on when it comes to how it is played out, in the society. And how does it look? First of all, it's called again systemic, institutional. It ain't so obvious. You can't see it. See what the police did to George Floyd, you can see that. And the different physical manifestations of racism and bigotry, you see? But the institutional and systematic, it's visceral. It's DNA-ish. Deep-rooted in the heart, people. And it's, so deep-rooted that it's deep-rooted it's enmeshed in the society and all its various institutions. See? So this is why you'll see the disparity of wealth when it comes to wealth and employment, whites and blacks. White folks make 10 times as much as black folk, average family. Wow. A college-educated white person and a college-educated black person, the college-educated, same degree, makes 7 times much as the black person. These are statistics that professionals have studied and surveyed. Why is that? The coronavirus, right? Why are so more black people dying from the coronavirus? They're talking about it. These are issues that's being talked about. Everybody see it. Systemic institutional racism. Because you don't have the health care. You don't have the kind of state-of-the-art clinics in your neighborhood to take. I don't know. You don't have the insurance coverage for that. You can't have the best doctors. You can't. So you get what you can get with your little Medicaid card. And sometimes the doctors don't want the Medicaid card. They want cash. They want insurance and all that stuff, man. So the debt is always stacked against you because of your color, man. Criminal justice system. I don't know. Well, in terms of percentage, as a minority, I don't know what the percentage is. I keep forgetting, But we're the largest inside the prison. The largest. Those things are real. That's systemic racism. See, the deck is stacked against education. That's the systemic. So when you hear that term, it's a new term for many of you young people. Systemic, institutional. It's institutionalized. I'll give you another example of it. So be clear in your mind. The churches. All of the images in the churches are what? All of them. I peeped that 50 years ago when I became Muslim. I want to know what color was God. Because all of the images we've been brought up in the churches, all the images are what? White. Angels was white. God was a white man with a long beard. God. Look at this here. Jesus, Mary, the disciples, everybody white. That's an institution. So you're bred like that. Yeah, see? They're real tricky, man. It's real tricky. But sometimes we don't get it. We got to wake up. And those are just some examples, in terms of systemic and institutional racism. So when you hear racism, okay, I got that. It's institutional, systemic, yeah. So this is why we have the disparity in society. There's tests that they give you for, get in certain schools and stuff like that. They play a lot of games, you see. And so we have suffered as a people, And alhamdulillah, thank Allah, alhamdulillah, I know this history, I read this stuff. I'm sharing it with you. And you know what? Everybody got paid, we didn't get paid. And we went through the worst. We went through the worst as a people. Nobody went through what we went through. They took your names. When we came here, they took our names from us. Obama. Think about that. Incoming. Tory. This, throwing out a few African names, right? Bamba, or what, many different names. Or Ahmed, Muhammad, Saleh, Fatima, Injiri, those are the kind of names we have. And those names reflected your culture. They took that from us. And the religion, many of us were Muslims. Many of our ancestors were Muslims. Muslim. They took the religion from us. And many of us spoke different languages. They took that from us too. They took our culture. They took our heritage. See? And they gave us John and Williams. That's what they did. And Daniels and all their names. You take that name. You see? They took our religion from us and made us Christian. Call on Jesus. It's reality, man. Everybody else that was enslaved, they didn't take that from them. That's what they took from us. And like Malcolm said, and then they call you Negro. They put that name in the dictionary, Negro. What is that? That's what he said. That became your identity until we changed it in the 60s, I think it was. The various people that were beginning to wake up and bring about change. Like now, people are waking up, you see. But you have to ask yourself, especially you young people, you know what I'm saying? We have to make the change. You see, so there's a lot of history, man. So I'll close, today's khutbah, but again, we have to stand up. Justice is justice, man. So we didn't get paid. The Jews got paid. The Japanese got paid. The Hawaiians got paid. The Native Americans, they got some compensation for what they went through. We familiar with that history, but we never got paid. But you know what? They're still talking about it. They're still debating it. Yeah. There's still a movement out there saying, you got to pay us. You got to pay us. The descendants of the Africans that brought here, our ancestors. You got to pay us, man. You see? That's one of the ways that we can have some kind of equity. Affirmative action, that ain't going nowhere. They came up with that. Not some years ago, right? Now you got to pay us. You see? But we so out of it, we don't even know what's going on. We don't even know how to demand. And so we need to look at these things, these issues, brothers and sisters. We need to look at these issues so we can follow up on them. If we don't, then they'll continue to keep killing us. If we don't, make noise and organize ourselves and be a part, of the movement, man, to bring about these social, to fight against these social injustices, in our history that are still current amongst us. How much do you value yourself? But again, we have a responsibility as Muslims. We have to stand up, alhamdulillah, and speak out against these things and take a position. And the struggle, of course, it will be long. It's a long struggle. I'll go on and on and on about it. But these are some of the things that's on my mind as a way, and I just want to, remind you and wake you up, because it's serious. It's serious, I've been on the planet a long time. I've seen a lot of things, and a lot of you young people, know. But don't take nothing for granted, The world can be a better place, The demonstration that you see people do today now, subhanAllah. I mean, just phenomenal. We never seen nothing like it, man. Nothing like this here. Everybody jumping on board. Even, the diversity, the different ethnic groups. People, everybody, which is good. People are waking up. People waking up. White folks are here. Somebody, wow, man, we messed up. We need to straighten this stuff out. You see? So if they're talking like that, then how should we be talking? Because we've been the victims, you see. But we got to be, we don't have to be sad and despondent about that. We got, let's get busy. So we are Muslims, so we have guidance. We have the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet, you see. So we need to begin to apply ourselves to our religion here, be good examples, alhamdulillah, man, and alhamdulillah, begin to go forward, to connect, with the community and the society and all these various good causes, alhamdulillah, to bring about change for the good of everybody. That's the whole idea. To bring about the good for everybody, And you remember, you young brothers and sisters, you have young children, and so what's the future going to be like for them? You see? What you going to tell them when they get, what did you do? What did you contribute? You know what I'm saying? When you striving back then, what did you do? Think about that. You know what I'm saying? All right? So you have to make a difference. And so again, Allah, stand up for justice, fight against oppression, be a part of the good cause, you know what I'm saying? And make the sacrifices, and the work. And you can make the sacrifice that you need to make, to make the world a better world. You know what I'm saying? To make your condition better as a Muslim community, and make your world better in terms of the community, the overall society in which you live in. Your people. Have empathy for them, have sympathy for them, and understand what has happened to them. What has happened to them has happened to you too. You ain't no different. You just say, and you have guidance. And so some of us have the guidance, but we still misguided. We have guidance, but we still misguided. Because we're not applying ourselves. If we apply ourselves to the book of Allah, we be an excellent example for the people in our neighborhood. And we have a tremendous impact upon them who want to become Muslim. So we have to step up. We have to align ourselves with our people. Alhamdulillah, give dawah, and join good with it, and stand up and support these noble causes and what that's going to help our people. Ya Allah, help us all. Allah bless us, inshallah. Ya Allah, have mercy upon us and forgive us our sins. Inna Allahu malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.